Ladies and gentlemen and students of business, each and every one of us in our lifetime has thought of opening a restaurant, right? But let me tell you this fact that 80 to 90% of the restaurants in the first 5 years of operations fail. Exactly. It is not easy to run a restaurant, and there are a number of mistakes that get committed in the due course of operations, due to which the failure rate is so high. So the question is, what exactly are these problems? Why are so many restaurants failing in just few years of their existence? In this case study, we are going to deeply analyze the main reasons of failures of these restaurants and what lessons can we derive as entrepreneurs, as students of business, and can apply in our own life so that we can start off a restaurant and run it successfully. This video is brought to you by the B School, your own business school. Problem number 1, location. Ladies and gentlemen and the students of business, let's say we start off a restaurant, and let's say for example we start off a cloud kitchen based restaurant. We do not have any offline setup. We simply have a kitchen where we prepare meals and sell it online on food aggregators such as Zomato and Swiggy. So let's assume that we are planning to start off a cloud kitchen. Now I have a question for you. If I give you a choice of 2 locations, where would you choose your location to be? Where would you choose your restaurant to be? Location A, which basically has families, or location B, which basically has individuals and bachelors living? The answer to this question lies basically in location B, wherein there are more number of bachelors, more number of single people who are living, who come off there from their jobs by 7 to 8 p.m. and then instead of cooking home cooked meals, they basically enjoy ordering from restaurants. Ladies and gentlemen, when majority of the people start off their restaurants, they do not think and dig in the data about the geographical locations that they are planning to start their restaurants in. You need to be very clear, you need to be very insightful. There should be data around that location in which you are planning to start off your restaurant. Otherwise, your restaurant in the first hand itself will fail. The thing is, you need to basically have the data regarding the number of footfalls that occur, the kind of people that live in their location, the kind of cuisine that they expect to eat, and the quality of service that they want. For example, if you are basically surrounded with college students, right, you know for a fact that for college students, affording premium meals, premium categories is going to be difficult. So for that location, if you are opening a restaurant or if you are opening a small outlet in a location which has college kids, right, you need to basically place up your menu according to the needs, according to the taste of those kids, of those college going students. You need to do the pricing strategy as well according to the needs of these college going students. So the point is, location plays a very important role in determining the success rate of your restaurant. You need to be very clear about the data and the insights about that location, the kind of footfall it has, the kind of families that live in, and the kind of crowd that you're targeting your restaurant to. Problem number 2, wrong theme. Ladies and gentlemen and the students of business, I have seen this trend in the recent years that lot of people who start their own restaurants try to copy the theme that has been working in the West. They basically go abroad, they basically see a dish that is very popular outside and they try to bring in that dish in India, and 90% of the times they fail. The point is, the problem is, you need to be very clear about the kind of theme your restaurant has, and that basically comes from deep understanding of the market that you are going to cater to. For example, if you start selling parathas or if you start selling chole bhature in the southern parts of India, do you think that your restaurant will be successful? There are chances with the right marketing techniques, but if you go organically, it is very likely that your restaurant will fail. Why? Because of wrong theme. You catered to the market which basically eats South Indian cuisine, and you are trying to sell them North Indian cuisine. Similarly, if your theme basically has burgers and pizzas, right, and you have planned out your entire outlay based on that, and your targeting is wrong, most likely your business is going to fail. As I told you, lot of entrepreneurs, when they start start of their restaurants, they try to copy the West, right? I have seen this a number of times in the recent years that, for example, Afghani burger, right? This is a very popular dish in the Gulf parts of the world, and a lot of people have actually tried implementing this in India, and majority of them have failed. I have the data and the insights to support this. So the point is, when you plan on the theme of your restaurant, be very clear about the target market whom you are going to cater to. Problem number 3, wrong marketing techniques, and this is a major problem and a very interesting one too. When you plan your restaurant, or if you are planning your restaurant, right, have you planned how exactly are you going to pull off the crowd? How exactly are you going to make that differentiator in your restaurant so that people actually come to visit? The thing is, the question that I'm asking is, what exactly is your marketing plan out? Lot of restaurants, majority of the restaurants fail because of wrong marketing techniques. They try to run advertisements on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, and it results in even more losses. They do not have a proper marketing plan of how their restaurant is going to pull off the crowd, and this is the reason their restaurant fails. I have seen a lot of times, and this is basically the success numbers that I'm talking about, right? If you specifically talk about Delhi, where I put up in India, you will see that a lot of people who have actually attained success in the restaurant business, in the hospitality business, were basically marketing their restaurant in content manner. For example, there is this guy who sells unlimited thalis, and he is known by the name Unlimited Paji. You can search it out on Instagram. You will find that he has very great marketing strategies. He basically puts up a lot of content on social media. He invites a lot of food bloggers to come and try its dishes and other stuff. And basically he uses those marketing techniques to pull off the crowd. In 2023 or after this, if you're planning to open up a restaurant, your main thing should be, the main part of your marketing plan should be leveraging the power of social media, leveraging the power of content to basically drive in sales in your restaurant. The thing is, if you somehow figure out a manner to create a differentiator, to create a buzz on social media about your restaurant, without spending a single penny, you can actually drive incredible amount of sales. And a lot of individual people have actually done it. A lot of these people running restaurants have done it in a very successful manner. They have just used the power of social media, they have just used the power of content to drive incredible sales in their restaurant, and that marketing plan actually works for them. So you need to be very clear about your marketing plan of how you are going to pull off sales, pull off crowd in your restaurant. And one of the great parts about that is you can actually leverage the power of social media to do it for free for your restaurant. Number 4, overstaffing. Ladies and gentlemen and students of business, I have literally analyzed hundreds of restaurants that have committed this mistake. When you open up a restaurant and you start designing these SOPs and these systems and everything, you basically have this thing in your head that I'll basically serve my customer to the best extent possible. And for those reasons, you basically overstaff your restaurant. You basically generate those burdens of salaries and all those associated stuff. And when the sales don't come in, when the expected profits don't come in, when the expected revenues don't come in, your restaurant ultimately fails. Why don't you basically go on a secondary strategy wherein you basically start off small? You basically start off with limited amount of staff which is actually needed to run your restaurant, and as the sales grow, as the number grow, you basically keep on hiring. The thing is, lot of people have committed this mistake. Lot of premium restaurants have also committed this mistake. Lot of QSRs have also committed this mistake wherein they hire people more than necessary, and ultimately it resulted in major losses, due to which they basically lacked the runway to run the restaurant, and ultimately the restaurant failed. You need to be very clear in your head regarding the planning, regarding the SOPs, regarding the structures, and regarding the manpower that is actually needed to run that restaurants, to run those machineries and everything, to run that entire setup. And you need to basically cut down the cost of hiring as much as possible in the initial years of your restaurant business. Problem number 5, wrong investment outlay. Ladies and gentlemen and the students of business, if you have actually thought of starting a restaurant, you must have thought of an initial budget that you basically want to invest. Let's say, for example, you have a plan of investing 10 lakh rupees in starting your own restaurant. But the question is, have you actually planned on allocating these 10 lakh rupees? Have you actually made this plan that where exactly will this money go? How much of this money will go into building the infrastructure? How much of the money will go into building the setups? How much of this money will go into inventory? How much of this money will go into marketing, sales, salaries, operations, etc.? The thing is, when we start off a restaurant, we do not plan out the budget, the investment outlay, and that creates a very major problem wherein we basically invest a lot more in those stuff which are not actually necessary, and ultimately we are left with less amount of investment on those items which actually need investments. For example, let me quote this, right? Lot of people, I have seen literally number of restaurants failing because of this. They basically invested lot of their funds in building the infrastructure, fancy restaurant, fancy lighting, fancy setup, fancy machinery, but at the end, when actual operations got kicked in, when marketing stuff required investments, they did not have funds. The thing is, if you are starting off a restaurant, you need to be very clear with the budget and the allocation of funds, how and where this money will go and what value will it derive for your restaurant. Number 6, lack of runway. Ladies and gentlemen, and the students of business, a lot of people have again committed this mistake. One very big reason of why these restaurant businesses fail is basically the lack of runway. I want to put this in a simple question to you guys. If you have planned on starting up a restaurant, how much months or how many years have you thought that it will take for your restaurant to turn profitable, to start generating money for you? Now, a lot of people out of you guys, out of the viewership, will answer that I have thought that in the first month itself my business will boom, or a lot of people will answer that in the first year itself my business will boom. But my question is, what if it does not? Do you have any backup investment? Do you have those much funds left in your bank account that if you do not kick in the required amount of sales in the first year of operations, you can still survive? The question is, the problem is, lot of these people who start their own restaurants invest so much in the initial time period on the infrastructure. As I told you in the last problem, they invest heavily in the initial time period and they do not have much backup funds left, which results in lack of runway. In the restaurant business, on an average, it takes somewhere around 1.5 years to 2 years to break even. That means that you must have 2 years of sufficient funds available in your bank account before your restaurant actually turns profitable and starts generating money for you. Because if you are not allocating that much amount of money, or if your budget is not allocated that way, you actually will run out of your runway. And what will happen? All that investment in tech, in machinery, in setup, in inventory will actually go into vain. The thing is, if you are starting off a restaurant and that capital of 10 lakhs, as I mentioned in my example, you should have some backup funds as well to, manage the inventory, manage the operations for at least 2 years before your restaurant turns profitable. If it turns profitable before that, congratulations. But if it does not, you will still have a backup fund in your bank balance to basically run that restaurant for at least a period of 2 years to try and figure out what exactly does the market needs. Problem number 7, passive business mindset. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people who start their own restaurants basically hire people in the beginning itself to manage each and everything, and they do not even bother to sit in their own restaurants. They think of their restaurant as a passive income business, as a passive business wherein they basically focus primarily on their main business or on their job, and they run that restaurant with a secondary mindset that yes, over the time period it will run, it will generate amount of wealth, it will generate amount of income for me. That is a very wrong mindset to operate a restaurant specifically. You need to basically be the boss. You need to basically take in charge. You need to basically understand each and everything about your restaurant, and that can only happen if you devote time to your restaurant. When you go and sit in your own restaurant, when you manage the operations, you basically get to interact with customers. You basically get to understand what the market needs, what the customer needs, the kind of service that it needs, the kind of meals that it needs, the kind of taste that it needs. If you do not go to your restaurants and you delegate this thing to your staff, more likely they will not tell you the exact data, the exact insights of the customer behavior. If you are starting your own restaurant, please make sure that you do not have this passive business mindset. It should be an active business mindset, that I'll devote at least 5 hours a day to my restaurant, wherein I'll see myself the kind of operations, the kind of inventory management, the kind of feedback, the kind of service. If you are on the ground and you are running your restaurant the way that you want, if you are there in your own restaurant and you're interacting with the customers on ground, you will have so much of data and so much of insights to improve your restaurant, which cannot happen otherwise. Problem number 8, wrong menu. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask a very simple question. It is, this problem, this thing has been committed by majority of the people who have started their restaurants, and even those people who are running their restaurants successfully. I read this, I was listening this podcast by Anubhav Dubey, who is basically the founder of Chai Sutta Bar. You must have heard of this restaurant, right? What he told was very insightful, that when Chai Sutta Bar initially kicked in their operations, they built a huge menu with lots and lots of items, different cuisines, and all those 50 items required incredible amount of inventory, raw materials, people, staff, machinery, etc. The thing is, when you design your menu for a restaurant, it should be designed in such a manner that it requires least amount of machinery, least amount of inventory, raw materials, and least amount of workforce to run that restaurant, to build that entire menu, to run that entire menu in the restaurant. Because if you have a diverse menu with South Indian cuisine, North Indian cuisine, Chinese, Italian, most likely what will happen is your amount of inventory, the amount of raw materials that you need will incredibly go up, which will basically increase the cost of operations of running your restaurant, and ultimately and most likely your restaurant will fail. In the initial years, right, you can start off with a simple menu catering to a niche. I am an Italian restaurant, I'll run my restaurant in an Italian manner, and I'll only use those 4 to 5 ingredients that are there, and I'll try all those possible combinations that I can make with those 4 or 5 items. This is the right manner of starting the restaurant in the initial time frame. Do not go for a very large menu, very diversified menu, because ultimately what will happen, your cost of running your restaurant will increase drastically, and it will ultimately result in losses. Increase your menu as per the demand of the customers. If you have sales, if you are getting revenues, if you are getting profitability, there's no harm there's no harm in increasing the quantity, increasing the items in the menu, but not in the initial years. Focus on a niche, reduce the number of items to an extent, manage 4 to 5 ingredients, 10 ingredients, and make most possible combinations with those 10 ingredients. If you look at the menus of all these big brands, Domino's, Pizza Hut, you will notice that each and every brand has done it. They have limited amount of ingredients, and their chefs, their head chefs, try majority combinations with those 10 ingredients to reduce the cost of operations, to reduce the cost of inventory. Ladies and gentlemen, problem number 9, a very major problem, customer service, right? If you go and visit a restaurant, very practical example, and if you find that the meal was not good, but the service was incredible, you might visit that restaurant again. But on the other hand, if you visit a restaurant, the meal was good, it was very delicious, it was very tasty, but the behavior of the staff was very bad. They neglected you, there were very incredible delays, the payment system was not working, the service was incredibly bad. Will you visit that restaurant again? You will most probably not. Why? Human tendency, when we visit a restaurant, right, we feel as if we are the king. We feel that we own the restaurant. Even if our meal is a bit bad, we want the service to be incredible. We want to be treated like a king when we go and visit in a restaurant. The thing is, you as an entrepreneur who's starting a restaurant should focus incredibly on your service. You should focus incredibly on the kind of discussions that you have with your customers, the kind of discussions that your staff has with customers, the feedback system, the kind of service, the amount of time it takes. Each and everything that is included in service must be taken care of to an incredible extent. I will say that more than the taste, more than the quality, you should focus on the customer service, because in the long run it will pay incredible amount of returns as compared to focusing on the quality of the product. Problem number 10, lack of customer data. Ladies and gentlemen, you must have noticed that all these big brands collect data when you make a purchase from them. They basically ask your phone number, they basically ask for your name, and they store it in a computerized system. Why do they do that? They basically do that to collect the data and to send you promotional messages, to send you offers, to lure you again to make a purchase from them. But majority of these new restaurants, majority of these new people who start a restaurant, they do not have this insight that I should actually collect this data and leverage it continuously. If you are starting your restaurant, each and every customer that comes in, you need to basically maintain a database of their details, their names, their email addresses, the kind of items they purchased, their phone numbers, so that over a time period when you have a decreasing trend of sales, you can actually push messages to those people to come and visit your restaurant again. Or as I told, feedback system, right? So in the service category, you can actually call up those customers after a point of time and ask them what exactly were the good parts as well as the bad parts for my restaurant, and you can increase your quality according to them. But that can only happen if you have a database, if you have the data of your customers. If you are starting a restaurant, please make sure that from day one itself, from customer one itself, you start maintaining data of your customers and you start interacting them with on continuous basis, so that you can get on ground insights about the problems that they are facing and the kind of service they expect from your restaurant. Ladies and gentlemen and students of business, these are 10 main problems of why restaurants fail. 90% of the restaurants fail in the first 5 years. If you guys found this video useful, if you got some good insights from this video, I request you to comment down below. Please tell me your data, your insights, so that we can build this community. I can collect these data, these insights from you, and I can push another video in the short time period of why restaurants fail and some other reasons to cover. Please let me know your insights about this video, your insights about this case study, and please tell me your insights of were these reasons that I told, these 10 reasons, were they actually valid or not? Also, if you found this video useful for you, for your entrepreneurial plan, for your journey of starting your restaurant, please do subscribe to the B School. You will have incredible amount of content, incredible amount of case studies in the next few days, in the next few time period. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon. Please like the video as it impresses the YouTube Baba, so that it can push this video to more number of people, so that we can build an incredible community in India through business. Thank you, and that's it for today. Please do subscribe to the channel. We'll meet in another case study. And again, this video was brought to you by the B School, your online business school.